Hey everyone, REDyTay here again. Welcome to another Pokemon challenge and the start of 2025. Beating Pokemon Silver with only a Mantine was a pretty smooth run until the very end, but I don't think this challenge is going to be as easy. This time we are tackling Pokemon Sapphire with just one Spheal. Using a first form Pokemon with this type combination is bound to make things interesting. I've always liked Spheal, probably because I love Walrein, but I haven't trained one in a long time. Normally, I'd evolve it as soon as I could, and the reason is obvious when you look at the stats. Spheal has a base stat total of 290, which is lower than the first form starters. On the bright side, it boasts decent HP, and having defense and both special stats in the 50s is respectable. It could definitely be worse, however Spheal's glaring weakness is its speed, which will likely hurt us. Spheal is a water and ice type, a combination that offensively shines but defensively struggles. It only resists water and ice while being weak to fighting, rock, grass, and electric. Those aren't ideal weaknesses, especially early in the game. But offensively, water and ice are fantastic types, so I think Spheal will hold its own later on in the game. As for its moveset, yeah, it's a bit odd. Spheal only learns one water move by level up, and it's not a great one. On the plus side, it has access to a lot of ice moves. And Body Slam, which is a personal favorite, and the intriguing combo of Rest and Snore. If we want better water moves, we'll have to rely on TMs or HMs. Spheal also learns Earthquake and Rock Smash, which could add some versatility. Now let's lay out the rules. I can only use Spheal throughout the challenge, I can catch other Pokemon, but I can only use them for HMs. No glitches or hacks to advance. No items can be used during battles except the held items given Spheal beforehand. I think this is going to be a really fun challenge, but I have a sinking feeling that some roadblocks will create major stalling points. This might seem like a random challenge, but it was actually requested by my sister. The other day, she was watching me play Pokemon Legends Arceus, and we were laughing hysterically at Spheal rolling down the hill during a side quest. I haven't been making many videos lately, so I decided to push myself to get this one ready for New Year's Day as an extra challenge. At the moment, I don't even have the Mantine video finished, and with work and the holidays piling up, my plate is pretty full. But enough talking, let's get started. Some of us will watch the ball drop on New Year's Eve, and hopefully this little ball will drop kick the competition. As usual, we start our journey by getting our starter from Professor Birch. Deciding which Pokemon Spheal would replace in the Pokemon Randomizer setup was a bit tricky. Spheal's type combination kind of dominates all three original starters, so I had to think strategically. Since the rival in this generation isn't as prominent as in previous generations, I decided to replace Mudkip with Spheal. This way, our rival will have a Trico, which is a straightforward water for water swap. I nicknamed our Spheal BEP, or BEP, keeping with the New Year's vibes. The inspiration? Well, I was trying to go for black eyed peas, again, New Year's. Because Spheal looks like a tiny frozen pea with black eyes, unfortunately the full name didn't fit, so BEP it is. Spheal's stats are about what we expected, and its ability for this game is Thick Fat, which gives us resistance to fire and ice moves. That is a fantastic ability. However, our nature is Adamant, which increases attack and decreases special attack. Considering Spheal is primarily a special attacker, this isn't ideal, but it could be worse. I decided not to reset for better nature, we'll just roll with it. Our first rival battle is straightforward. Both Pokemon are at level 5, and although Spheal is slower, Powder Snow takes Trico down in a single hit. Yeah, I don't think our rival will be much of a threat in this game. Roxanne, on the other hand, could be a problem. While our moves are strong against rock types, BEP's speed is a liability, and we're weak to rock moves like Rock Tomb. To prepare, I decided to battle every trainer on the way to Rustboro to level up as much as possible. As it turns out, I was overreacting about Roxanne's difficulty. The battle ended up being a piece of cake. I had forgotten how slow her team was. By the time we faced her, Spheal was about the same level as her Pokemon, and to my surprise, we were faster than both of them. Her team didn't even use a single rock move against us. Water Gun was our go-to move, easily taking care of Geodude. Nose Pass, however, could tank several water guns, which gave it a few chances to attack, but all it did was spam Tackle. Roxanne did make the battle a bit annoying by using potions multiple times, but we were never in any real danger. In the end, we claimed the first badge of the game on the very first try. That battle went smoother than I expected. Does that mean I'm going to overthink the second gym too? After all, we are weak to fighting moves. Honestly, this challenge is shaping up to be a pretty tough one in the early game, and I'm not even ready to think about Watson yet. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. As it turns out, our first loss in this challenge wasn't even against Brawly, it was against a random trainer in his gym who had him a chop. That thing took us down in just 2 turns. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording the battle, but for the rematch I made sure to hit record. This time Machop opened up the fight with focus energy. Surprisingly, we are faster, so I used Encore, the first and only time I used it during this challenge. It landed and forced Machop to repeat focus energy while we whittled it down. Shortly after that win, we leveled up and learned Body Slam, replacing Encore. I was pumped to add Body Slam to our arsenal. It's a great physical move with a chance to paralyze, which is perfect since our low speed means any chance to attack first is invaluable. Plus, thanks to our adamant nature, Body Slam should hit even harder. That said, even with Body Slam, we couldn't beat Brawly at this level. In multiple attempts, we managed to paralyze Machop with our first Body Slam, but it was never fully paralyzed. Its Karate Chop made short work of us. There was no point in losing repeatedly, so it was time to grind. At level 23, we gave it another shot, and although we could still lose here, I stumbled upon a new strategy completely by accident. I mistakenly selected Ice Ball instead of Body Slam at the start of the fight. While Ice Ball can't paralyze, its damage output ramps up quickly. To my surprise, it took down Machop after a few hits. Brawly did use a super potion to heal Machop fully, but aside from one seismic toss, Machop did not attack much. When Makihita came out, however, we immediately lost our Ice Ball streak. Switching back to Body Slam, I aimed for paralysis. While it did some decent damage, it didn't trigger the paralysis effect. Makihita then hits us with enough arm thrusts to knock us out. Still, I stuck with this level, confident we could win. Embracing the Ice Ball strategy, I started the next battle the same way. Chop fell without landing a single meaningful hit, as it only used Bulk Up and Leer. That left us at full health when facing Makihita. This time, Makihita survived an Ice Ball with just a sliver of health and countered with an arm thrust, taking us down to half health. Brawly used a super potion, but it wasn't enough to save Makihita. The next Ice Ball hit like a truck and we secured the win. With the second badge in hand, I have to admit I underestimated Ice Ball. It's a move I rarely use, but it absolutely came through in this gym battle. That being said, I doubt it will be as useful in Watson's gym. Speaking of Watson, he's shaping up to be the next major roadblock. As anyone familiar with my Hone challenges, Watson is always a nuisance. In many of my past runs, I've had to rely heavily on Rock Smash to take him down. Conveniently, we can't get the HM for Rock Smash here while we are in Mobile City. I'm hoping this challenge doesn't force us into the same strategy, but for the record, our little Frozen Beach Ball can learn this move. Watson is especially tough in this challenge because we don't really have good moves early on to counter electric type Pokemon. Plus, his team includes steel types, and they can paralyze us if we use physical moves. And to make matters worse, Bep's part water typing makes us extra vulnerable. This battle is going to be rough.
Apparently I was getting ahead of myself because we can't even beat our rival on Cycling Road yet.
Earlier I mentioned that the rival should be easy to handle in this game, but this battle caught me off guard. Normally Wailmer isn't an issue, it usually just spams Splash, and we take it down without any trouble. But this time, Wailmer pulled out Rollout, and it was more than happy to keep using it. While Rollout doesn't immediately end the battle, it can severely weaken us before we can even get to the real threats. Numel, as expected, isn't a problem since we can one-shot it with Water Gun. But then Grovyle comes out and finishes us with a single Absorb. I wasn't sure if this would turn into another grinding point in the challenge, so I stuck with battling at this level for a while to see if we could improve. In some attempts, Wailmer didn't use Rollout as much, which helped reduce the damage we took. However, the main issue was that we couldn't one-shot Grovyle with either of our ice moves, leaving us open to a couple of absorbs that would easily knock us out. Eventually, I decided to experiment with an Ice Ball strategy. While Wailmer isn't particularly vulnerable to ice, I figured we could use Ice Ball's turn-based power building effect to stack damage while Wailmer wasted turns building up its own rollout. But this time, Wailmer just spammed Splash. Where was this during the other battles? Frustration aside, we managed to feint Wailmer while staying at full health. Numel came out next, breaking our Ice Ball streak, and we took some damage from Ember before one-shotting it with Water Gun. Still, this was the best position we've been in for the Grovyle fight. Looking back, I probably should have just spammed Aurora Beam here, but Ice Ball was already in motion. It performed well, almost knocked Grovyle out in the second turn. Roval survived with a tiny sliver of HP and healed a bit with Absorb, but it wasn't enough to keep up with Ice Ball's increasing power.
Soon enough, we finally secure the win.
Now it's time to face Watson, and unsurprisingly, our first attempt did not go well. Magnemite's Thundershock was wrecking us, and I had forgotten it resists ice moves, making our current moveset a terrible match for this battle.
With only being 7 levels higher than Magnemite, it should not come as a surprise that we're struggling due to our type mismatch. Time to grind a few more levels and reassess the situation. In many of my Ruby and Sapphire challenges, Rock Smash ends up being the secret weapon against Watson. It's a weak move, but with it being fighting type, it's effective against Magnemite and Magneton. And yes, Beth can learn it, but I really didn't want to give up any of our current moves. Each one felt important for the long run, and I didn't want to give up one just for an immediate solution. It was also tough saying no to Hail when we reached level 31. While it would pair nicely with Blizzard for 100% accuracy, I decided it wouldn't help us much in the grand scheme of this challenge. With that in mind, we went back to face Watson at level 32, keeping the same moveset as before. Let's see if this extra power makes a difference. The extra levels helped, but not very much. This time we focused on spamming Water Gun, as Magnemite doesn't resist it. However, Thunder Wave and Supersonic made the battle incredibly frustrating,
dragging it out with paralysis and confusion damage.
Even when we managed to get Magnemite to low health, Watson would heal it up with a super potion, effectively resetting our progress. Clearly more grinding is needed. This time we're going for level 35.
With the level increase came a change in strategy, using Ice Ball as much as possible. While it starts off weak, the move builds power with consecutive hits, which can deal significant damage if uninterrupted. Unfortunately, Magnemite's status moves like Thunder Wave and Supersonic frequently broke our streak and stalled us out. At this level, we finally started seeing all of Watson's Pokemon in battle, but we were still far from ready for Magneton.
Voltorb surprisingly gave us hope in winning this battle.
It actually is ideal if it uses Self-Destruct, as the move hardly scratched us thanks to our high defense. Even so, it was clear we needed more grinding. At level 40, things were getting serious. I agonized over skipping Rest and Snore when leveling up, but I just couldn't part with the type coverage in our current moveset. Honestly, I love our setup for this challenge, even if I wasn't using all these moves as much as I'd like. Sometimes 4 move slots just isn't enough. Despite the grind, level 40 still was not enough to beat Watson. Sure, things were improving, but at this point I didn't care about incremental progress. I just wanted to beat his entire team. On one attempt, I felt we were on the verge of victory. We started with Ice Ball again, though it wasn't looking great. Magnemite paralyzed us with Thunder Wave almost immediately, followed by Supersonic to confuse us. Despite these setbacks, Ice Ball managed to land on the next turn, though Magnemite survived in the yellow. It retaliated with Sonic Boom, but another Ice Ball took it down. Voltorb was next, and I secretly hoped it would use Self-Destruct. Instead, Ice Ball kept rolling and scored an easy one-shot. Now we are face to face with Magneton. Paralysis still makes things dangerous as Magneton can outspeed us. Thankfully, it opted for Sonic Boom instead of a stronger electric move, and our streaking Ice Ball then lands a strong enough hit to one-shot Magneton. Yes, I know we got lucky with that win, but let's not ignore the grinding that went into making this victory even possible. And we didn't even use Rock Smash.
Things should be a little easier after Watson, and that's not just because we have a significant level lead.
This section of the game also got more interesting plot-wise, as Team Aqua's plans became more prominent. Naturally, that meant it was time for an Archie fight. Archie led with Mightyena, which immediately triggered Intimidate, lowering our attack stat for the rest of the battle. Mightyena withstood 2 Ice Balls, got healed by Archie, and went down to the 3rd. During this exchange, we took some damage from Bite, but nothing too concerning. Next up is Golbat, and has no way of saving itself from our now overpowered Ice Ball. That was a clean one-shot. Finally, Sharpedo came out. It tried to set up with Focus Energy, but it didn't matter. Ice Ball kept rolling and landed another one-shot. Ice Ball has really proved its worth, but I don't think it's going to do much good when it comes to Flannery. That being said, this battle shouldn't even be a challenge. Water Gun might be a weak move, but it's still super effective against fire types. This should be an easy fight. And yes, it was an extremely easy fight. Water Gun one-shots both Slugmas, while Torkoal falls to half health, lands a body slam, and then goes down to another Water Gun. Not much to report here, so let's keep this momentum going and face our dad.
We actually lose this battle on the first attempt. This was partially due to me thinking Ice Ball was our ticket to victory, and also because of Jan putting us to sleep. It's hard to be slacking when you're asleep. Let's try this again. This time, no Ice Ball. We need to be more direct in our approach. Body Slam isn't very effective, but slacking solid stats are the real issue. I managed to land one Ice Ball before falling asleep again, thanks to another yawn from a previous turn. Fortunately, we don't take much damage before waking up and resuming our Ice Ball. The damage output starts to ramp up, but Norman uses a Hyper Potion, negating our progress. We fall asleep shortly after, once more due to yawn. While asleep, Facade makes things scarier, but we eventually wake up and take out the first slacking with back-to-back critical hits from Ice Ball. With Ice Ball already building momentum, we only need 2 hits to take out the second slacking. Finally, Vigoroth is all that remains. Things get tense when its slash drops us to just 22 HP. However, Ice Ball is still active, and since Vigoroth isn't as defensively bulky as Slaking, it faints in one hit. With the Surf HM in hand, I teach the move to Bep, replacing Water Gun. Surf is a massive upgrade, much stronger and more reliable, making it a solid addition to our moveset. With Surf, we can head east and work toward another gym battle, but first we have to deal with Team Aqua at the Weather Institute. Honestly, there's not much to say here. The first battle is a little rough, but the rest goes smoothly. It's a great way to gain experience, even though we still have quite the level lead. Even with this level lead, we actually still lose to our rival on this route in the first attempt. I did not expect this fight to be difficult. Essentially, we started Ice Ball too late when Grovyle came out. It survived with just 4 HP, which gave Wailmer the perfect opportunity to knock us out with a rollout. Surf is still the best way to handle Numel, so we start there. Against Grovyle, we switch our Roar Beam, which is strong enough to secure a one-shot. Moving on to Wailmer, we are at half health. Body Slam hits hard, dropping Wailmer below half health, and it begins using Rollout, which doesn't do much damage. Another Body Slam finishes the job. Now it's time to face Winona. This fight shouldn't be too bad since she's the flying type gym leader and we have 2 ice type moves at our disposal. Swellow opens with Double Team, but our Ice Ball still connects and it's a critical hit, giving us a great start. Pelipper's next. Being from Water type, it survives an Ice Ball and lands an Aerial Ace, but we're still in good shape as another Ice Ball takes it out. Skarmory is up next, and it could be problematic due to its high defense. However, Ice Ball has built up so much power by this point that it lands as a one-shot. Finally, Altaria enters the fray. It uses Dragon Dance, boosting its stats, and our Ice Ball streak ends, giving Winona a glimmer of hope. Earthquake lands, dealing some damage, but we retaliate with Aurora Beam, which easily wraps up the battle. I knew this fight was going to be easy. Next up, it's time to deal with Team Aqua, and things really start to ramp up here. If you see my other videos, you'll know I'm not the biggest fan of everything this game has you do in this section. That being said, there are a few battles worth reporting. Also, Beth has just reached level 50. At this point, Beth's stats are leaving much to be desired. Our HP is solid, but the rest of the stats are fairly even, which isn't ideal. We're not fast, and our middling stats mean we're not great at defending or dealing damage. Honestly, it's Beth's Ice Water typing that's carrying us through this challenge. As for the moveset, we've replaced Ice Ball with Sheer Cold. I know some of you might think that's a weird choice, but hear me out. Sheer Cold is essentially the Ice type equivalent of Horn Drill or Guillotine, a one-hit KO move that ignores type effectiveness. Unlike earlier games, Sheer Cold's accuracy isn't fixed at 30%. Instead, it's 30% plus the level lead we have over our opponent. If we're underleveled, it won't hit at all, but since we're maintaining a decent level lead, Sheer Cold might become a valuable Hail Mary option for tough battles. Now for the optional rival battle in Lily Cove City, which I always make sure to do. Our rival leads with Swellow, which is faster and tries to boost its evasion with Double Team. That's a solid strategy, but Aurora Beam still connects and one-shots it. Grovyle is next, and while Aurora Beam is another one-shot, it manages to land a Leaf Blade before going down, making things a little scary. Numel follows, but we outspeed it and we take it out with Surf, another one-shot. Finally, Wailmer appears. This was a troublesome Pokemon earlier, but we seem to have the upper hand this time. We outspeed it and land a Body Slam, bringing it into the yellow and paralyzing it. Thanks to paralysis, it can't move on the next turn, allowing us to finish it off. Finally, an easy rival victory. I didn't expect the rival to be such a challenge early in the run, but it feels good to have a smoother win this time. Hopefully Team Aqua and the upcoming Psychic Gym don't give me much trouble. Let's face it, the Psychic double battle at Tay and Liza's gym is always a challenge in these runs. That being said, I was optimistic this time, thinking Surf would be our secret weapon. Sure, it's a Psychic gym, but it's also effectively a reboot of the Rock gym since Solrock and Lunatone are both part Rock type. With Surf hitting both targets at once, I thought this would be an easy battle. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. Surf does hit, but it doesn't hit hard enough. The plan relied on us getting a few turns to use Surf and we can wrap things up. But we ran into multiple problems instead. First, Bep is slower than both Solrock and Lunatone, which gives them plenty of opportunities to disrupt us. If Lunatone sets up a light screen on turn 1, our damage output gets nerfed. Add to the fact that Surf tends to leave them in a perfect range for Tay and Liza to heal with Hyper Potions and the battle drags out. That gives them more chances to land Hypnosis or to hit us with Psychic, which doesn't take many turns to finish us off. Clearly we need a grind. I thought a few more levels might make the difference, so we tried again at level 55. Fortunately, not much has improved. We were still running into the same issues: light screen, healing, and being outsped. I was going to break down each attempt at this level, but honestly, what's the point? It was the same story every time. So, more grinding. This time, we took on the swimmers in the southern sea routes to push Bep to level 60. I also worked on acquiring a shell bell, which took some extra time, but it was worth it. Finally, at level 60, things went as expected. We were faster, dodged a critical hypnosis, and it only took 2 Surfs to knock out Solrock and Lunatone. Finally. With that, we move on to finish the badge run. Or so I thought, because now Archie's giving us issues. On the first attempt, Mightyena and Crobat were manageable, though they did cause some trouble. The real problem came with Sharpedo. We wasted several turns with failed sheer colds, and by the time we switched to Surf, Sharpedo's swagger had confused us. Geez, try saying that 5 times fast. Between confusion and Sharpedo's slash, Bep went down before we could finish the fight. On the second attempt, the lead up to Sharpedo was similar. This time though, I made a huge misplay. Even though we saw how much damage Surf did against it in the first attempt, I panicked and switched to Body Slam instead. My thought process was that Sharpedo resisted Surf, so Body Slam's damage plus the chance to paralyze seemed to be the better option. But I completely ignored the fact that Rough Skin was chipping away at us with every hit. We did eventually knock out Sharpedo with Body Slam, but the Rough Skin damage took Bep down in the process. Sure, we technically won the battle with other Pokemon being in our party, but since Bep fainted, that counts as a loss in this challenge. Third attempt, we are determined to win this. Surf makes quick work of Mightyena, but it leaves us with lowered attack and speed. Crobat is next, and we take some damage from his wing attack. Luckily, Aurora Beam almost finishes it off. Since Archie doesn't fully heal Crobat with a super potion, we land another Aurora Beam to finish it. Now it's time for Sharpedo. Surf hits hard, taking it to half health right away. We take minimal damage from its slash, and another Surf finally finishes it off. Now that we've overcome Archie's team, facing Wallace is up next, but I'm already feeling the pressure from what we've been dealing with so far. Wallace's battle was a big concern for me, especially after the struggles we've had with Archie. Wallace's team doesn't have any direct type advantage against us, but since we're going in with only one Pokemon against an almost full team, can we outlast them? First out is Luvdisc. Body Slam brings it to the yellow, and we have to hope for some good confusion luck after getting hit with Sweet Kiss. Fortunately, another Body Slam takes it out. On the next turn, we take confusion damage, but it's not too bad, and Whiscash hits us with an Earthquake. After that, we strike back with Aurora Beam, which does good damage, but Whiscash hangs on. Wallace heals it with a Hyper Potion, but we stick with Aurora Beam, and it quickly gets Whiscash back down to where it was. Then Wallace surprises me with Rain Dance, and he doesn't save Whiscash, who falls to the next Aurora Beam. Then Wallace surprises me with Rain Dance, instead of saving Whiscash, who falls to the next Aurora Beam. Next up is Wallace's Celio. I go for Sheer Cold, and it lands. I wasn't expecting that, but it's a huge break for us. Seaking follows, and we continue with Body Slam, which works well against it, especially since Seaking's Water Pulse isn't causing too much trouble. After a few turns of healing and trading Body Slams, we get Seaking paralyzed and it can't attack. Another Body Slam puts us in a great position for the last Pokemon. Finally, Melodic comes out. Melodic is always a bit scary, but we have a chance here. It's faster than us and hits with Water Pulse, but we take it well. Now it's time for Sheer Cold to make its magic happen. And it lands. That's the win. A first try win against walls. After all the issues we've had recently, it feels really good to have this go so smoothly. But we're still not 100% ready for the Elite Four and Steven. I make a quick stop at Moleville to trade in some money for coins so we can get Team 13 Ice Beam. I replace Aurora Beam with the stronger Ice Beam, which will definitely help going forward. Now it's time to head through Victory Road, battling every trainer along the way. I want to be at level 65 by the time we face the Elite Four. Sydney and Phoebe could go either way. Sydney has 2 grass-type Pokemon, so Ice Beam should handle them without a problem, but I'm unsure about the rest of his team. Phoebe's ghost types are hard to predict, and we'll have to be cautious of the pressure ability, which could deplete our power points if we are not careful. I'm really dreading Glacia though. It feels like the Waltz battle all over again, but worse. 3 out of 5 of her Pokemon are water ice types, which means we're up against our same type matchup. That's going to be a bit of a struggle, and we're going to need every level we can get. But I feel pretty good about Drake. His dragon type shouldn't be much of an issue for us. As for Steven, his ground and rock types should play into our favor, so I'm confident going into that battle. Somewhat. But before all that, we still have to deal with Wally. Yes, Wally. Wally is a thorn in our side again. The loss might have been because I was rushing to get to Elite Four and wasn't taking this battle as seriously as I should have. Even after a few more attempts, we still end up losing. We're running into the same issues we faced during the last Ruby and Sapphire challenge. Paralysis and Leech Seed can quickly lead to our downfall. And if we get to Delcatty with no status conditions, seeing Intoxic make things even worse. Take all those factors away, and Wally's team isn't too threatening, except for Gardevoir, mainly because it's faster than Beb. If we could just get to Gardevoir with full health and no status conditions, we could definitely win this fight. I really don't want to grind just to beat Wally, so I'm hoping we can avoid that. Third attempt, and it's going much better. Altaria starts strong, landing a critical hit with Dragon Breath, but thankfully we avoid paralysis. We're still in good shape, and once it's our turn, Ice Beam makes quick work of it. The Shell Bell helps us recover to green health almost immediately. Next up is Rosalia, and since we are not paralyzed, we are faster. Another Ice Beam, and it's down in one shot. Same goes for Magneton, but we switch to Surf to knock it out. Finally, Delcatty. See, this is what I mean. Wally's only a real problem if he gets lucky in paralyzing us early. Now we're left with Gardevoir. We've healed up thanks to Shell Bell activating each turn so we can withstand Psychic. The problem is Ice Beam doesn't quite bring it down to half health. Wally uses a Super Potion, giving us the chance to hit with Surf, which brings Gardevoir into yellow health. We heal some more thanks to our Shell Bell, but now we've burned through all of our Surf power points. So now we're back to Ice Beam, and this time it's strong enough to put Gardevoir back into yellow health. Will Wally heal again? Nope. He decides to go on the offensive, and it's terrifying. Psychic takes us down to just 3 health. We're barely hanging on, but we pull through with a critical hit from Ice Beam, and finally, we win. Now we get back to the real challenge, the Elite Four. Looking at our stats, none of them are even in the triple digits. Which, let's be honest, this is a Pokemon challenge, so that should be kind of expected. This is going to be a true test of our endurance. It's a bit frustrating because in most of my other challenges, I've had at least one stat in the low 100s by now. The one thing going for us is our HP, and the Shell Bell can help with healing, but since it heals based on damage dealt, it won't be as effective as if we had another healing item like Leftovers. That said, Sheer Cold could be a game changer if it lands on a high HP opponent, an instant KO, which could really help in some of these battles. We'll have to rely on our level advantage as we progress. Our moveset isn't totally one-dimensional, but it's close. It's kind of two-dimensional. We have decent coverage, but it's going to be a pain to battle Glacia with this setup. But enough complaining, let's dive into the Elite Four. Sydney was definitely a challenge. We lost a few attempts due to his Sharpedo. On the first try, it just beat us down with Crunch. Second attempt almost went our way, but we took too much confusion damage from Swagger, leaving Swift Tree to finish us off with Extrasensory. Third attempt, we open with Body Slam despite the Intimidate from Mightyena, but it doesn't do much and we don't paralyze. On the next turn, we went with Surf, knocking Mightyena out. Then came Cacturn, which was easy to deal with thanks to Ice Beam. Now it's on the Sharpedo. It hits us with Crunch again, but this time we turn the tide by landing a Sheer Cold, which is lucky considering how often it misses in these situations. With that, we didn't get confused and we are in a much better spot to handle Absol. It started with Sword Dance and we fired back with Surf, which took it to yellow health. After a berry, it healed up to the green, but we followed up with another Surf, taking it out. Now for Swiftry. It used a double team, but despite that and the sand attack Mantine used against us earlier, we managed to land one final Ice Beam and finish the battle. Sydney was a bit of a hurdle, and I'm expecting Phoebe to be another one. She took 3 attempts to get through. Her moves like Confuse Ray and Will-O-Wisp really set us back, adding burn damage and confusion to the mix, which made it hard to keep up, even with the Shell Bell. On the 3rd attempt, we started strong with Ice Beam, but of course, Confuse Ray hits us and we got confused. Still, we managed to land a Surf and took out the first Dusclops. The first Bayonet withstood Surf and then hits us with a Will-O-Wisp, putting us in a bad spot. Luckily, another Surf knocked Bayonet out. Next was Sableye, which we handled with more Surfs, while it attacked us with Shadow Balls. Another Surf and Sableye went down. The second Bayonet was faster and Shadow Ball brought us down to 6 health, but then luck was on our side with Sheer Cold landing for a one-hit KO. The Shell Bell healed us to 23 health, and after a level up, we are now sitting with 25 health. Last out was Dusclops, we were down to 2 health due to burn damage. If we hadn't had leveled up at that exact moment, we would have lost. We had 1 shot left with Sheer Cold, and the odds were slim. But miraculously, it landed. It's rare that I lean on luck-based strategies because they very rarely work out, but this was one of those times. We could have lost at any point, but somehow we made it through. Now it's on to Glacia, the one opponent I've been dreading. This battle is essentially fighting Water and Ice with Water and Ice, but the issue for us is that we are a single first form Pokemon facing a team full of evolved Ice types with obviously better stats. That and over half of our team consists of evolved forms of our guy. We're outnumbered and outclassed in terms of raw power. The good news is that Glacia's team doesn't have any moves that are particularly dangerous to us, but we have a very similar moveset, meaning we don't really have any advantage. The only option is to level up. Luckily, our pickup luck has been great, and we got plenty of rare candies. We won't use all of them, but we'll get to level 70 and see if that makes a difference. Even then, things are still tough, so we bumped up to level 75. I don't want to get too high as it's still a challenge, but this should help. Now let's see if we can turn this around and finally overcome Glacia. Glacia took a couple attempts, but we finally got the win. The first Glalie wasted a turn setting up a Hail, and we capitalized with Surf, doing nearly 2/3 of its health and damage. After taking a bit of damage from Crunch, another Surf took it down. Now onto Celio. Body Slam wasn't doing much, but neither was its Surf. A second Body Slam brought it into the yellow and paralyzed it, so things were starting to look up. We switched gears and went for Surf. It wasn't quite enough for a knockout, but Celio was now paralyzed. Of course, Glacia used the full restore, but we countered with 2 more Body Slams, getting Celio back to where it was before the restore. Though this time it's not paralyzed. Celio sets up Hail again, but we hit it with another Body Slam to finish it off. Now, the second Celio. We kept using Body Slam, the first one paralyzed it. The paralysis made the next turn even better as Celio couldn't attack. The best part of this exchange was when Celio used Dive. This move functions like Dig, or Fly, meaning even though the Pokemon using it can avoid most moves on the first turn, there are certain moves, like Surf in this instance, that can land and deal extra damage. Our Surf hit Celio, and the extra damage from Dive Celio'd its fate. Then came another Glalie, starting with Crunch, but we hit it back with Surf. Glalie set up Hail, giving us a free turn to attack, and it went down easily from there. Finally, Walrein, the tankiest of the bunch. It can be tough to bring down if Glacia uses a full restore. We took a gamble and tried Sheer Cold. With all of our levels, we had a 52% chance of landing it. Sure enough, the odds were in our favor and we knocked out Walrein, taking the win over Glacia. Felt strange using Sheer Cold, but we had to end the battle quickly, and it worked out. Now onto Drake, the final member of the Elite Four. This should have been a breeze with Ice Beam against the Dragons, but we lost on the first attempt. Going into battle not at full health didn't help, but we made progress with Ice Beam. However, damage did slowly add up, and when Salamence came out, we were in trouble. We ran out of power points for Ice Beam, but that is the least of our worries, as Salamence's Dragon Claw landed a critical hit and takes us out. That was some bad luck. We try again, this time healing up before the battle. Shelgon is slower than Bep, and one Ice Beam takes it out, just like in the previous attempt. Flygon keeps using Dragon Breath, and we keep using Ice Beam, knocking it out in the first hit. The same thing with Altaria, a quick Ice Beam and it went down. Back to another Flygon. This one also uses Dragon Breath, but another Ice Beam has the same result. Then came Salamence, and we were back in a tight spot health-wise. This time Salamence hits us with Dragon Claw, bringing us down to 1 health. This is extremely lucky, and we finally get a chance to strike back. Salamance's Dragon Flying type sealed its fate as one last Ice Beam brought it down. That was another close call I did not expect, but we got through it. Hopefully this luck will carry us into the final battle with Steven. Okay, this battle took many tries, but that shouldn't be too surprising since Steven is usually challenging in some way. To be honest, we're doing better here than most of the challenges we've done. It helps that this team has rock and ground types, so we're well equipped to handle them. That being said, our stats are still our stats, which means we're showing about a B+ level of performance. What usually trips us up in these battles is either Credilli with its Giga Drain or Confuse Ray, or Armaldo with its Ancient Power, which can easily wreck us. We often don't get past them in a lot of these battles. Well, I guess we have no choice but to use the rest of our rare candies and assess the situation from there. With all the rare candies now depleted, we are at level 79. We take out Skarmory with Sheer Cold. I'm so thankful that we're faster than it because if we did get hit by Toxic, this battle would be over. Also, we almost never missed Sheer Cold when we used it on Skarmory, so we usually have a really efficient start to the battle with this plan. Claydol is up next, and this thing can be extremely annoying if it sets up Light Screen. The great thing about being at level 79 is that we're faster than it, so we can hit it quickly with Surf. Sadly, it doesn't knock Claydol out, and we're forced to deal with its Light Screen for the foreseeable future. To make things worse, Steven uses a full restore on Claydol. Surf isn't doing as much now, but we stick with it. 2 Surfs gets Claydol back to the red, and we take a little damage from an Earthquake. I'm a bit surprised that Steven doesn't heal Claydol here, but anyway, another Surf finishes the job. We're still in solid green health when Credilli comes out. I hate this Light Screen because Ice Beam doesn't even take Credilli to half health. Because it's still standing, Credilli hits us with a Giga Drain, taking us into yellow health. Perfect, the Light Screen just wore off and Ice Beam hits hard enough to take Credilli out for good. But I'm scared Armaldo is going to end the battle with Ancient Power due to our low health. I don't know if we're faster or not, but if we are, then Sheer Cold could save us here. Oh, look at that, we are faster and Sheer Cold lands to help us out. We're back in the green thanks to Shell Bell, and now we need to see how we fare against Aggron. Not bad considering we are faster than it, and it can't withstand a Surf. Now Metagross is all that stands between us beating the challenge. I wish I had more to say about this matchup, but I played safe and used Sheer Cold. Oh crap, it misses. Meteor Mash makes things scary since we're now in the red. Okay, this is it. One more chance to try Sheer Cold. Yes, okay, it lands and we finally beat Steven Stone, meaning we are Pokemon champions and have officially beaten the game. This challenge was interesting. I love Water and Ice as a paired matchup because I feel like it covers a lot of types and it provides a good spread. However, this challenge was much harder than I expected, mainly because Spheal has very lackluster stats. There were so many times I thought we were going to reach a point where we could easily sweep everything, but time and again we got stalled and had to grind to make some progress. Still, I like this little guy. I know some of you are wondering where my Mantine challenge is, since at the end of my previous challenge, I mentioned I was doing one. Don't worry, I finished the challenge. I just fell behind with my videos because my job has consumed a lot of time and energy, and the holidays were thrown into the mix as well. This video took priority since I wanted it to come out on New Year's Day. I am working on the script for the Mantine challenge as we speak. As for my next challenge, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I feel like I need to focus more on Generation 3 games, so maybe something similar to what I'm doing right now. I'm also in the process of playing through Pokemon Yellow to commemorate its 25th anniversary release in the United States. If you want, check that out and maybe share what the game means to you in the comments. In the meantime, feel free to check out some of my other challenges, and don't forget to like and subscribe for updates, leave comments about what you enjoyed, what challenges you'd like to see in the future, and any suggestions for improving these videos. I always appreciate creative input. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, Geronimo. Oh, and Happy New Year.